Yeah, man, sitting back thinking about this Mo3 case, and shout out to Ratchet TV, man. I be following Ratchet. He kind of is really mentally invested in this case. So I kind of give him that. You really don't see a lot of podcasters that's really invested. They just kind of follow the news, follow the trends. But Ratchet is invested. He go to the court case hearings. He's really from Dallas. He talked to a lot of dudes that's really from the soil and from the mud. But when I first heard about this Mo3 case, I follow Mo3 music, and he did a lot of features with a lot of people. But I mean, just hearing him on solo tracks, the dude was hot. The talent, you know what I mean, the singing and rapping, dude really had some talent coming out of Dallas, and he was about to put Dallas on his shoulders and take them to the next level. He definitely was about to do that. But he had an early departure. And it kind of stems from just having issues with people inside his city, and but just following the case and looking at it, everything pointed at Yellow Beezy, Trap Boy Freddy, Bodega, and all these dudes that's in there. But when you first heard about the Mo3 case, first thing you thought was is Mo3 was hanging with this chick. He left her house and then got followed and somebody gunned him down. So you kind of thought about it when you first heard that, and you were just like, you know what, baby girl set him up. You know, she set him up. It looks like a hands down setup. And then I heard something about him and Ratchet was out of town, and when they flew into town, that's when he linked up with the chick. So then you looked at it and you was like, you know what? I mean, not Ratchet, him and Rainwater. Him and Rainwater, which is his manager. If you know about it, then you know Rainwater was his manager or one of them, because I hear Rainwater saying that he had few people managing him. And following the case, I heard that he also had a manager that kind of ran off with some money and ran off with a lot of his songs. So he was dealing with different managers, probably booking him for shows and different little things that they did for Mo3 to where they was managing him. But Rainwater, the day before he was killed, I heard that him and Rainwater was out of town doing some type of business with music. I don't know if it was a show, a meeting, or what it was, but they came back in town. And if I'm not mistaken, Rain said that's when him and Mo jumped in the cab. Rain said he got dropped off first, and then Mo3 kind of went wherever he went. I don't know if he went to go with the little car he was driving in when he was unalived, and then went to the chick house. But then a lot of people say when they heard Rain saying, okay, well, y'all came in town together, then the next morning he ended up unalived, Rainwater set him up. And then you started to climb down this Mo3 murder trial and murder case rabbit hole. And the rabbit hole just get deeper and deeper and deeper, because now we starting to hear that the dude Bodega, if I'm not mistaken, is the baby father uh, to the girl Mo3 house that he was at that night. So basically, Bodega got kids by a female that Mo3 was dealing with. So it's like it get kind of messy when you start to see that, because what they trying to say is Bodega is friends with Keyshawn White, and basically when Mo3 was over there, Bodega, the girl said Bodega really don't be calling for the kids like that. But that Pacific night when Mo3 was there, he was calling, just saying he wanted to come pick up the kids. Possibly, I ain't really seen him like that, so I want to come pick up the kids, spend some time with them or whatever, just on a random. And she really didn't pay no attention to it at the time. She was just like, nah, probably told him, tomorrow will be cool, better, whatever the case may be. Or the kids are already situated, let's just do it tomorrow and I have them ready for you, or whatever. But after Mo3 left and she found out Mo3 got killed, she probably looked at it, from what I'm saying is that's when they saying she kind of realized, like, why was he calling so random that day, adamant about getting the kids out the house. So now the story is starting to arouse that, since we know while Mo3 was in that house, Keyshawn White then was kind of sitting outside the apartments waiting on Mo3 to leave. So was they waiting on Mo3 to leave, or they was really debating on running up in there with Mo3 in there and just handling their business? But Bodega allegedly called them off because his kids was in there. I think that Bodega felt like, you know what, my baby mama backdooring me sleeping with the ops. If my kid ain't up in there or my kids ain't up in there, shoot, y'all could just run up in there and knock everything down. You know what I mean? That's what she get for messing with the nigga. You know what I mean? So, cause his kids was in there, some is saying he called it off. So when they saying Bodega, you know, the girl who was messing with Mo3's sister is saying that Bodega really don't got no ties to these cats. And then the story is coming out that they was sitting outside of the house where they really wasn't sitting out there waiting on Mo3 to leave. They really was sitting out there because they wanted to run up in there while Mo3 was in there. So what made them stop doing that? You know, if Bodega was nowhere near the scene, you mean to tell me you told some killers not to go in there and handle their business when they ready to go up in there and handle their business, and they didn't go in there because you said so and you not even there? So then you must got some real major influence over how these dudes is moving. You know what I mean? To where you call it off like, man, don't go up in there, man. My kid's up in there. You know what I mean? They like, all right, bro, we gonna fall back and we just gonna wait the blood cut, and then we gonna just, you know what I'm saying, trail him like that. You know, but when you look at the whole situation, I think the whole play was in motion to a point where, cause they saying it could have been a second shooter. Nobody knows if it was a second shooter or not. Like I said, we just saw the footage of Mo3 on the freeway. He stopped, got out the car. He ran to the opposite side of the car like he left something in there, you know, like he left a gun or something like that. Then he dug down real fast while he was searching in the passenger side of the car, as if allegedly Keyshawn White, who got out with that assault rifle, must have fired some shots at him, and it was real close. And you saw Mo duck down, then run to the back of the car, and then he kind of ran on the freeway, passing up the vehicle that had the camera that was actually capturing the footage, because somebody had a dash cam. And when Mo3 ran, he passed up the dash cam, and you see allegedly Keyshawn White, the shooter, come running as if he was chasing him. Now, we don't have the footage from there, but some is saying it possibly could have been a second shooter. So when Mo ran and he ran past that dash cam, was it another cat in the car? When he saw Mo coming, he bounced off, shot him, and then allegedly Keyshawn White came and finished him off, because they said Mo3 was hit several times. You know, so we don't really got the camera footage from that, so we can't really see. But what we looking at is what led up to that. You know, we thought the chick who he went to her house, we thought she set him up. Then we hear him and Rain was out of town together and came in town before he went to baby girl house. So then we thinking Rain had something to do with it. And then Rainwater was also telling Mo3, hey, look, don't drive with no guns in the car, bruh, because you know that could get you pulled over. You get caught with a pistol, you smoking or something while you driving. That's gonna kind of mess up the business we got going on. So some saying Rain snuck and took the pistol out the car, and Mo3 never checked. He just always thought it was a hammer up under that passenger seat. So, you know, I'm gonna make another video because, like I say, the rabbit hole goes deep. But this is just gonna be part one of me just following this rabbit hole in the Mo3 case. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be back at y'all with another one.